So you've heard this phrase before, just decide. Just decide you have it. Just decide you're in the right state. Just decide it's yours. Just decide it's done. And then you try it, right? You try to accept that, oh, I decide I have it. And maybe you even repeat it each time you come back to that decision. And then you're like, well, nothing. There's no shift, there's no change, no deep knowing. It feels almost like a phrase hanging in the air, kind of as empty as before. And you're left wondering, well, why does just decide feel like more words, Why does it feel like nothing happens even when I just decide? Why does it seem like I'm kind of just repeating another version of an affirmation? Because you don't truly see who you are. And when you don't see who you truly are, any technique, even something as making a simple decision, will feel like just another thing for you to do or try. So just decide is just really affirmations in disguise. Same old idea, just with a new, shinier name. Instead of like, I am wealthy, now it's, I decide I'm wealthy. Of course it's, I decide. Instead of, I am loved, now it's like, I decide I'm loved. I decide I'm loved. See the pattern? You've just swapped one tool for another without actually seeing what any of this is pointing to, which is why it feels empty, because you're still making the decision from the perspective of lack. So here's more clarity on where your decision is coming from. If you decide while still believing you're separate from what you want, that decision is just another desperate attempt to make something happen. You are claiming the words, just decide, you're claiming the decision, and you're still checking if it worked. You're declaring the decision, but secretly wondering if anything changed. You're telling yourself, well, yeah, it's done, but still feeling like you're waiting. That's not deciding. That's negotiating with your doubts. Deciding from knowing is completely different. When you know who you are experientially, not with words, you're not using decisions as a trick. You're not forcing a choice. You're not denying anything. You're not convincing yourself. You're simply recognizing what is already true. It's like deciding that you're breathing. You're not forcing it. You're not trying to believe it. There's no belief change happening. You're not hoping it's true. You just know. And when you operate from that knowing, deciding isn't a technique. Because I hear a lot of people, they're like, oh, I stopped affirmations, but now I'm just deciding. Deciding is not a technique if you come from a place of knowing who you are. So let's think of a mirror, right? A mirror doesn't try to reflect. It does not have to decide to show your face. It does not work on believing it can reflect. It doesn't affirm to itself that it's capable of showing you what's already there robotically. It just does, because that is its nature. And the same goes for you. When you see who you truly are, the awareness in which all experience arises, then decisions are just movement of your being. Decisions are now just how things move. They are not forced, they're not a process, they're not something you do to get a result. They're just the natural unfolding of what's already true. Because you're making decisions all day, every day. And I know you like stories, so here's one. And one of my clients, told me in our coaching session that I keep deciding I'm in the relationship I want, but I don't see any change. I stopped doing everything. I'm just deciding and being. So I asked her, I'm like, who is the one making this decision? Like, where is that effort coming from? Are you deciding because you see that nothing is missing from awareness? Or are you deciding because, oh, you sense a resistance and you're hoping it will make something happen? And she paused because she knew the answer. And we kind of reinforced it with somatic inquiry. It's not slow, it's how you speed things up. She wasn't deciding from certainty. She realized that she was deciding from hope. She was deciding from lack, from resistance. And she realized that, well, yeah, you don't have to decide. You just have to see that the decision was already made by you the moment you were aware of your desire. And that hit different because when she let go of trying to decide using any of the guided pause questions and somatic inquiry, something shifted. She stopped feeling like she needed to do something, that she needed to change all her beliefs. She stopped checking if the decision was working. She stopped making it a process. She stopped looking to change her thoughts, change her beliefs, change all her decisions one at a time. And from that space, the relationships she desired naturally unfolded because it was never about convincing herself. It was about noticing what was already true. There's a difference, huge difference between both. To get to know what's already true, that's where my guided pause comes in. It's not about belief. It's not about convincing yourself. If just decide has felt empty for you, here's what I want you to do. Pause. Recognize right now that your thoughts are coming and going. Now you rest. Notice that you're aware right now. Ask yourself, who is noticing all of this? And lean into that direction. And just rest there for a few moments. Because can anything be missing from this awareness truly? Otherwise it would be incomplete, which it's not. Next, I want you to bring your desire to your mind, not as something you're trying to create, just as an experiment, not as something you need to claim, just as a simple recognition of what's already here. If you're aware of it, it's already here, so you're simply noticing it, right? And now notice if there's any tension. Are you grasping for it? Are you subtly waiting for proof? Are you secretly hoping this will finally make it happen? Just notice. What happens if you don't try to make it real or make it happen or force it? What happens if you don't try to believe it? What happens if you don't even try to decide? Does anything actually need to be done? Or was it already here before you even asked? Because here's the truth. The decision was never something you had to make, as though it was something you're grasping for. It was something that was already made by you the moment you were aware of your desire. You just weren't seeing it. And when you truly see, there is no moment of decision that you have to keep returning to. There's no need to keep declaring anything over and over again. There's no need to convince yourself. There's no need to wait for it to work. There's no need to cling on to your decision because, well, it's already done. Like waking up and just knowing your name, like standing in the sun and just knowing you are warm, like breathing and just knowing it's happening. There's no effort, there's no process, there's no technique. And no, this is not being lazy. It's the most active thing to do. You're just being what you've always been. And from there, decisions are not something you do, keep doing mindlessly. They are just how life moves through you. And if you cannot see who you truly are, see through your unhelpful stories, and sometimes we all need a helping hand, and that's where my somatic coaching, inquiry coaching comes in. It's not a slow process. We don't dig for beliefs. There's nothing to believe. It's about experientially recognizing what's always been here, that no coach can disprove, that you don't need extra beliefs to solidify it. I mean, how powerful is that when you can recognize something for yourself without needing to cling on to a belief? Right? That's where this somatic inquiry or guided pauses comes in. But if we do not see through our story, then yeah, the just decide is going to feel hard. Your mind can initially be like, ooh, that's so easy. I just decide. And then it has no acknowledgement of its own resistance against these decisions. It doesn't recognize its own resistance is coming in the way. It loves the idea of just decide, but it doesn't really know how to apply it when things get rough, when challenges present itself to you. And that's where the guided pauses come in, the somatic inquiry comes in. You can reach out for one-on-one coaching through the link in my description, or you can watch so many of my videos, or do both. Or if you want a mini experience where you see that you are one with your desires, that there is no separation between you and the world around you, that's where my mini weightless course comes in. And I'd love to hear your insights, big or small. I will see you in the comments.